is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. I see it on Periscope, Facebook, DLive, and YouTube. Nice. What's up, everybody? If you didn't catch me saying it, it is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020, and it is 9:03 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. LGBTQSTD says, James, you look like a little kid next to Amber. And he called her Amber something else from what's her real name is, but I knew exactly what you're talking about. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know, I do. I do look like a little kid. Amber Rose. He used a different word. It has O in it, and it has E in it, but it has an H, and it has no S. Anyways, guys, you can call in. Some of you already have and are on hold, and I will get to you. 888-775-3773. Just a little preview to what I'm going to be talking about. You know, I'm going to touch on the things that I touched on in Hake News from the Jesse Lee Peterson show today. Pelosi using a shuttered hair salon for a blowout, whatever that is. I was speculating on what it is, and I'm probably right with White Chris out there. Joe Rogan's podcast, Sanitized. And who honestly cares, right? Because he's so vanilla anyways, but I mean, I like his show. But, and another police shooting controversy here in Los Angeles. And the fake news is so fake. And thank God we have a president who's willing to call them out and expose them, and then they expose themselves in insane reaction to him and kissing up to Black Lives Matter. There was a caller yesterday. I'm going to touch on something that he said that really rang true. But okay, guys, let's get on with the show. Listen to this.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, I think I know a little bit what happened in the Jesse Lee Peterson show today, guys. I don't think that, since I'm thinking of it now, I think I should mention it to Joel Friday here, because we were blaming him for Jesse Lee Peterson getting cut off in his conversation with Owen Schroyer. And I noticed that the music is low in these headphones, and so I turned up the music a little bit. And so that might be part of this problem. Interesting. I wonder who turned down the music there. I don't usually turn down the music. If anything, I turn it up. So it might not be Joel Friday's fault that Owen Schroyer and Jesse Lee Peterson got cut off without any warning, seemingly, because we didn't hear any music out there. And usually you hear the bumper coming in, the bumper music coming in. Anyways, not might. Speaking of Owen Schroyer, he talked about how the media is such liars. And I love Jesse Lee Peterson's point to that. What's wrong with the people that they are falling for the media's lies, that they're able to be manipulated into rioting and protesting and smearing the cops and the whites and America and kissing up to their, pretending that their enemies are their friends, their enemies being, like, Benjamin Crump is an enemy to black people. But over and over and over again, the families of black criminals who get themselves killed or hurt take his so-called services, which is a disservice. And I have this clip that I wanted to play for you right off. President Trump talks about the media And, these phony Democrat mayors and governors who don't want the National Guard coming in, and then, okay, finally they let the National Guard to come in because they want to allow the so-called protests, really riots and agitation and subversion of America and the cops and authority and rule of law and peace and just total disturbance of peace. They just allow it, look the other way. So Trump is talking about that. We can help you. We can help you get control of your cities. But they don't want control of the cities. They want destruction because they're destructive people. They're female-minded people. Not the right kind of female. These dumb Democrats. And then, so he talks about the murder in Portland that I covered. I guess it happened over the weekend, didn't it? Or did it happen? I lost track now. So many crazy things going on. But a Patriot Prayer guy was murdered, apparently, up in Portland, Oregon. And I've talked about that. Well, Trump talks about it too. And thank God, the Patriot Prayer guy who's a Trump supporter, Christian conservative type of young guys. I don't know much about the group. They seem like they're willing to face off with Antifa because they're up there where Antifa is thriving and running the cities, basically. Portland, Oregon area, the Pacific Northwest. Used to be a beautiful place, but now it's ugly because of Democrats and the brainwashing of the dumb people. Well, listen to President Trump. This is a Fox News clip that I got from a guy named Peter Duke who tweeted out saying, real Donald Trump has arrived at the Andrew Breitbart conclusion. Listen to this, and I'll explain that after.
All they have to do is say, okay, President, now we're ready. Now we're ready. When I watched that scene last night with all of those really horrible people outside of the mayor's house, I also saw the way they shot the young gentleman in the street. He was targeted. They targeted him. They shot him in the street, and then they were so happy, and he died. You don't mention that. You mentioned somebody sprayed paint at somebody from the other side. They shot a man in the street. They executed a man in the street. A religious man in the street. And you don't mention it. It's not even a story. You talk about other things. The press should be ashamed of themselves. I think the press is actually, the media is what's fueling this, more so than even Biden, because Biden doesn't know he's alive. The press is really fueling this, and they're fueling it horribly, and you're doing a great disservice to your country.
Right on, President Trump. Isn't it thrilling when Trump just manhandles the media for their lies, and they accuse him of lying? It's so phony. And this guy, Peter Duke, who tweeted this clip, this Fox News clip, saying, real Donald Trump, and he is real, has arrived at the Andrew Breitbart conclusion. I think that's because Andrew Breitbart, who founded Breitbart.com, he died at a young age, just several years ago, maybe 10 or so years ago, was talking about the media and the politics is so-called downstream from culture, I think he would say, right? Somebody would say something like that, right? It's almost an overused saying, honestly. But the brainwashing of the people by the mainstream media and by the mainstream social media establishment and the Democrats and the rhinos kissing up to the Democrats and the academia, they're all sleazy, scum-of-the-earth people. And most people apparently just, well, I don't know if it's most, but a whole lot of people are total suckers for that. And just hate Trump, who's like, loves everybody. And right on to him for calling out the way that they celebrated the death of that the murder of that Patriot Prayer guy. They said, I played for you, and Jesse Lee Peterson played for you. The clip of that Black Lives Matter fat black woman up in Portland saying, oh, we cleaned out the trash. We killed a Nazi, a fascist. I'm not sad that this one died. And everybody cheered. Whites and blacks and Jewish people and probably some Hispanics up there. All evil people controlled by evil. And why are they like that? I don't know. It's like we've been debased and subverted and demoralized, made immoral. And it's crazy, the stuff that even the conservatives are accepting in their own lives, their personal lives, our personal lives, and in the mainstream too. But an example of, I also liked how he said, Joe Biden doesn't know he's alive. It's true. Joe Biden he encourages this. He stood by while Barack Obama encouraged the false black victimhood of the blacks and of everybody else. The homosexuals, the Muslims, and the women. Joe Biden was the vice president during all that time. He was a kiss-up the whole time. A sick person. A kiss-up to everybody except for whites. He thinks it's a good thing. And Christians. He pretends to be a Christian. An example of the lying mainstream media is the likes of Reuters. I told you during Hake News in hour 2, the end of hour 2 of the Jesse Lee Peterson show today, about this Dijon Kizzee guy. And I have pictures of the guy, black cyclist who was killed by Los Angeles County Sheriff's officers, I guess. And they're allowing this black female victim-minded aunt of this guy who was a criminal, and he got himself killed, making false statements. The aunt made false statements about cops only killing blacks. They're only killing us. Why us? And Reuters, ordinarily, it's supposed to be an objective outlet. Reuters, responsible, objective, big time. They don't correct the record on that, but she lied. Or she just repeated a lie that she'd been, I don't know, somehow that she gets this impression that, it's only happening to whites. You hear it from sleazy people like Maze from Dayton, Ohio. I call her sleazy because she repeats this sleazy lie that whites get a pass when they deal with police. Same thing what Benjamin Crump says. They say, whites get a pass when dealing with police. Never mind that blacks are 7 to 8 times more likely to resist arrest, according to San Francisco police numbers. It came out in the San Francisco Gate at some point, some years back. Never mind that blacks are 13% of the population, or 6% if you count just the males. But 40-something% of cop killers are black. Overrepresented among cop killers, amongst murderers. They're like 4 to 6 times as likely to commit murder per capita as whites. But they're only 2 to 4 times as likely to be killed by cops as whites per capita. Yes, they are overrepresented among those who are killed by cops, but that's because they're overrepresented among criminals and violent people and people who hate cops. And they're encouraged to hate cops, even the half so-called decent ones. You heard Joe from Phoenix, Arizona complaining about he assumes that he was profiled. In fact, he was profiling the cops as profiling him because he was pulled over multiple times in some nice location and on suspicion of DUI or something like that. And he says, it's because it's profiling and it's a big harm. I'm like, what harm is it? They don't want to deal with themselves. Deal with Barack Obama's meeting with the NBA players, the dumb NBA players, including Chris Paul, who supported Black Lives Matter since 16, 17, 18, whenever it was that he and LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and some other guy and Chris Paul. And they all stood at the ESPYs Awards, and gave these dumb Black Lives Matter speeches. And then Barack Obama met with sleazy guys like this, dumb, useful idiots, and said, we need to establish a committee for the NBA. These are basketball players, professional basketball players, black, and they're wanting to boycott the game in reaction to Jacob Blake getting shot, the criminal who resisted arrest and he had a knife. And he fought off the officers. The taser didn't work. And they want to establish a social justice committee. Barack Obama, whom Joe from Phoenix, a black conservative, likes. He thinks that was a great president. A social justice committee, social justice is not justice. And they want to deal with police reform and so-called criminal justice reform. Not black reform. Blame the police, not the blacks who are acting out of control. And more of these commies, though the Antifa people, which consist of liberal brainwashed Jewish people, liberal brainwashed some whites, I imagine, some blacks, and I would have to assume some Hispanics are suckers for this too. All supporting just dumb stuff. And then they go up and I don't know if that guy's a normal white person who went up and shot the guy in the chest, the Patriot Prayer guy in the chest, all over these false ideas that, these guys are fascists, as if fascists deserve to be hated or shot, even if they were fascists, which they're not. But I don't even know what that is. A fascist is, according to Bill Lockwood, it's still pretty far left, but it's just not as far left as the commies. They're just more nationalistic. And nationalism is fine. Nationalism is good. Nationalism is great. It makes countries peaceful if the people are decent and moral, but they're not. So let me just read to you this Reuters fake news outlet. And they're supposed to be, I like to target outlets not like CNN, because CNN is so obvious, everybody knows that CNN is so fake. But Reuters presents itself as being respectable. And same thing with Associated Press. They're not respectable. They capitalize the word black just to kiss up to blacks all of a sudden. Politically correct. They kiss up to the LGBTQIA madness and the feminist madness. They're leftists. They're not objective journalists. They are leftist, extremist, activist, and then they journalize a little bit. They present some facts. But they hide behind this pretense of professionalism. Reminds me of, the NPR. It reminds me of NPR. Let me just tell you briefly before I forget about the NPR thing. I had a great call at the end of my show yesterday from, he had the perfect name too. I'm blanking on it though. A white guy, maybe he's Italian. Do we count that? From the Northeast, 27 years old. He was like a bright young man, even in high school. And he talked about how he used to listen to NPR because they were middle of the road, sort of objective, giving both sides, according to him, right? I've never known them to be that way. But right around 2014, when Black Lives Matter came onto the scene, Black Lives Matter being the obviously discriminatory, I almost said Jesse Lee Peterson, but President Donald Trump called them discriminatory, and bad for blacks and bad for everybody. Black Lives Matter. From the start, they were that way. They never had a valid complaint, ever. Never. They complain about Trayvon Martin, who got himself killed in self-defense, and what's that guy's name? Michael Brown, who got himself killed in self-defense while trying to kill a cop. Crazy. Or at least trying to attack the cop. He certainly went for the cop's gun, because otherwise how did his thumb get shot? I don't know. I forget what all happened with that situation. But they just smeared the police. They never had a valid complaint. All of their biggest cases are fake cases, right down to even the George Floyd situation. Which the George Floyd situation, maybe you have a little bit of criticism for the cop with the knee on the neck, but that department trained like that, I guess. but they just want to smear the white guy. So NPR, they went sideways once Black Lives Matter came on the scene, totally kissing up to the lies. And then now they're just obvious. They're interviewing people who are justifying looting, in defense of looting and rioting and destruction, political destruction. I don't know, all that stuff by a transgender or whatever that guy was. Anyways, Drudge gives this update. Los Angeles police fatally shoot, and he capitalized black. I don't know if he still runs the thing, the website, Matt Drudge. I don't know. But President Trump tweeted criticizing him. So maybe I'll start listening. I don't know. After the suspected bike violation, I don't even know what the bike violation was, but long story short, this guy was a criminal. He ran from the cops, and then he punched the cop, dropped a bundle of clothes, and sure enough, there was a gun inside of it while he was punching the cops, and supposedly got shot in the back. They say 20 times. The latest instance of police killing a black man. And they make sure to track that. And all it amounts to is anecdotal evidence, which is not. And it's deceptively presented anecdotal evidence. It's not real evidence of police targeting blacks. But they call it the latest instance of police killing a black man. And they're giving diverging accounts. And you can bet that the cops' accounts, the police department's accounts, is different from the so-called lawyer representing the family. And who's the lawyer representing this 29-year-old Dijon Kizzee in Los Angeles? Or the so-called family of this guy? Because he's dead now. Benjamin Crump, the Black Lives Matter sleazy lawyer who represented all of these dumb, evil Black Lives Matter people. So the Sheriff's Department of Los Angeles says that he was shot fewer times after dropping a handgun that he had been carrying and punching one of the deputies. Lying people. The killing renewed protests in the city by demonstrators angered at deadly violence against black people by police. And that's a deceptively worded statement because it's usually when blacks are the ones who are escalating the situation in all of these cases. You don't kill any race but us, Fletcher Fair, Dijon Kizzee's aunt, said. And it don't make any sense. That's because it's not true, woman. But they don't correct it. And activists, agitators, are calling for an independent investigation by the California Attorney General. Reminds me of the evil Democrat governor of Wisconsin bringing in his Attorney General, or his DOJ, his State Department of Justice, to investigate the situation with Jacob Blake. Meanwhile, he's allowing the riots to go on. This woman needs to be listening to President Trump. President Trump already answered this question because some nice but dumb journalist woman, I like her, Catherine Herridge. Normally I respect her, but she asked President Trump weeks back, why are African Americans still dying at the hands of police? And he's like, what a terrible question. So are white people. More white people. And that's true. But the media doesn't cover those so that they can give the false impression that blacks are the ones only being the victims. And Fletcher Fair goes, why us? And Reuters doesn't answer it. Reuters just goes on and talks about Kenosha, Wisconsin, where the white officer shot Jacob Blake in the back. And they say 7 times in the back. But from what I read on Wikipedia, Benjamin Crump said that it was 4 times. So I still don't know if that story is straight. These people lie. Not Reuters, but BBC and CNN and others all lied and said that Jacob Blake was unarmed. They didn't know that he was unarmed. They just said it. And I guess the jury's still out. I call him armed because they said drop the knife, and he had a knife in the car where he was reaching into. That I consider that armed. And he admitted to having a knife too, by the way. Sleazy people. So this guy abandoned his bike and ran for a block with the deputies in pursuit who had tried to stop him. Typical black in these situations, running from the cops. But you have EARL and people like that saying, oh, when whites do it, they don't get killed. Yes, they do. But more often, whites just don't have as much of a death wish. A death wish is when you are reckless with your life and just willing to die. You see this happen with daredevils. The whites who have a death wish, usually they don't go suicide by cop. They do like crazy skydiving and stuff like that. I'm looking over at Joel. I've never gone skydiving, but Joel Friday has. And by the way, one internet sleuth found this guy's criminal record. He'd had weapons charges in the past, addict in possession of a firearm on the 2nd of January of this year, and the 3rd of January 2 years ago, unregistered California-based vehicle driving with a license suspended for drunk driving in 2017, addict in possession of firearm 2016, transport of a controlled substance, driving with drugs in the system, open container while driving. He was an out-of-control person, but his aunt wants to complain about the cops. No mention. He's 29 years old, right? He's not a kid. Well, he's dead now. But he had issues. And nobody stopped him. Nobody pulled him aside. Now, Benjamin, wow, big guy. Benjamin, he needs better hair, though. Well, I mean, he's dead now. What a shame. What a waste. They're encouraging blacks to waste their lives. They're encouraging everybody to waste their lives. Pornography and alcohol and pot and all this stuff. And being mad at the cops. He didn't have to be it was so unnecessary for him to waste his life like that. But he did. And now you have Benjamin Crump playing him like a victim, putting out rest in power. Benjamin Crump doesn't care about this guy or his family. Benjamin Crump is just on a mission to promote blacks as being false victims. It's a mess. And then there's this other black female, Kristen Clark, who's a JD, a lawyer, a.k.a. liar. I'm chuckling because Marcus Jones commented in my Hake News segment from yesterday when I talked about Kyle, John Wick, Jack Bauer Rittenhouse, who defended himself. And according to his lawyers, who don't seem to be liars, he's all mad because I mean, he's making fun of me because I don't consider his lawyers to be liars. He legally carried that firearm. He was 17. But that firearm did not cross state lines. And he was well-trained and well-disciplined, by the way. And I call him John Wick, Jack Bauer Rittenhouse because he was quite proficient, even in a stressful situation, only firing upon his attackers, not hitting anybody else. Right on. Right on. It's interesting that the guy with the gun who had the gun to his head only got his arm shot, almost shot off, but only got his arm shot, and he lived. He survived. Whereas the other the guy with the skateboard who hit him, grabbing at his gun, maybe that's probably part of the problem, grabbing at the gun, and is clearly able to be seen in the video that he's grabbing at the gun. He got shot in either the chest or the stomach, and he died. And then the other guy who, according to eyewitness accounts, grabbed at the gun or tried to get the gun, and then got shot multiple times. Joe Rosenbaum, he got shot and killed. But the guy with the gun was kind of swinging by, didn't grab at the gun, but pointed to the gun at the guy's head, according to what I saw, what I think that I saw in the video. Crazy. And meanwhile, NPR, speaking of NPR lying, oh gosh, I got to get to calls. NPR tweeted, President Trump said, without evidence, that Kyle Rittenhouse appeared to be defending himself from attackers. He said it without evidence. That's the mainstream media line to anything that President Trump says that's true, but they don't know for themselves, and they don't want to look into it. Trump says without evidence that Barack Obama spied on his administration, citing no evidence. They just repeatedly say that. So sometimes I'll say that to mock them. But they said that, and everybody knows, everybody can look at the video and see that Kyle Rittenhouse was defending himself. Or listen to the eyewitness accounts. All accounts say that he was defending himself, but you have sleazy people like Tony from California, a disgrace to all truck drivers, but par for the course for silly-minded black people, overgrown, calling Kyle Jack Bauer, John Wick Rittenhouse a murderer. What a shame. So right on to President Trump. I got to read some super chats, and then we'll get to Earl next, and then Richard and all you guys. Hang tight, guys. 888-775-3773. Evgeny Crosby 2020 says, Nancy Pelosi was giving them some, what? Something that rhymes that I don't want to repeat because I'm not sure what it means exactly. But Evgeny Crosby makes a claim that I don't know to be true, but he says Marcus Jones just got his new EBT card in the mail. I'm sure that Marcus Jones is not on food stamps. But that's what Evgeny Crosby says. But I don't think that it's true, guys. Just FYI. I believe that he's a married father of he probably has a daughter or something. Or maybe a few kids. I don't know. Jimmy DM gave a Ninjagini. It says, for the cause, keep up the good work, James. Hake, exposing the lies. Thank you, Jimmy DM. Appreciate the support. Very generous with that Ninjagini. Zedekiel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, but he says Zedekiel. He gave a diamond and said, the Hake. And another diamond, report. Another diamond, la. Another diamond, la, la. And another diamond, la. Appreciate that. Zedekiel. With all the diamonds, the Hake Report, la, la, la. La. Noah's Ark, Kansas gave a diamond as well. Evgeny Crosby 2020 with his edgy statements. He says, get a job. We need savage Joe Biden's idiot moments. Yeah. Zedekiel says, sorry, Noah, with his diamond. Evgeny Crosby 2020 with a diamond says, Maxine Waters' wig needs to go to the dry cleaners. Winston Fujimori gave a diamond and said, sorry, taking too much time on the call yesterday. Winston Fujimori. Is Winston the name of the guy who called at the end? Oh, no. It was my fault. I wasn't even paying attention to the time. You didn't take too much time on the call. But I appreciate, it was so fun listening to you talk. And it was an interesting observation about NPR that they were much more fair pre-Black Lives Matter than post-Black Lives Matter. Once Black Lives Matter came on the scene, they just started just pandering to the blacks and the SJWs. He says, Winston Fujimori says, you guys are the best, salute. And he does the salute sign which is a lowercase o and the number 7. And it looks like a hand salute, like a military salute. Joe Maddock gave a diamond and said, Hake is being red-pilled today about the media. Yeah. Hydro PX gave a diamond and said, did you know that Kyle's lawyer is banned on Twitter? I saw something about that Lynn Wood, not John Pierce. I believe John Pierce is another lawyer for Kyle, and he's not banned, at least not that I know of. But Lynn Wood is one of the lawyers who's working with Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle, Jack Bauer, John Wick Rittenhouse. Am I the only one who thinks that's funny? I mean, I think it's awesome, just how he handled that himself. And he seemed to be quite restrained, actually, even though he did kill a couple of guys in self-defense. Yeah, I heard that he was suspended. I don't know what for, but that's the establishment right now. I have a picture of a GoFundMe, a GoFundMe meme. I don't have it in this folder, I don't think. I have it from yesterday, but I forgot to mention it, or maybe from the day before, actually, where they're talking about, oh, there's a GoFundMe for the guy who shot the 5-year-old in the head, the black guy who shot the 5-year-old in the head in either North Carolina or South Carolina. I can never keep those straight. But they banned the, oh yeah, there it is. This guy killed a 5-year-old riding his bike. The guy who was living with his parents, black guy, in his late 20s, I believe, if I recall correctly. But meanwhile, Kyle Rittenhouse had his GoFundMe taken down, defending himself against 3 attackers. And many other would-be attackers, but they wised up and backed off once he fired that weapon. Good thing he had that harness, too, because they were trying to take the gun. I bet you that helped prevent it from leaving his hands. Yeah, that's GoFundMe for you. I don't know if this is true, if somebody can look that up and verify it, but there have been many similar parallel cases in which GoFundMe or Kickstarter or these other sleazy, they're not even supposed to be sleazy fundraising outlets, platforms, where you can set up your own platform, set up your own fundraising project. The SJWs attack them and they cave and cower because they're liberals themselves. They basically agree with them. It's just like the rhinos who basically agree with the Democrats. So, anyways, I got to get to my second favorite caller. Earl in Michigan. How are you doing, Earl?
Hola, James Hake.
Hey. What's up?
Nothing much. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
But,
that means good morning.
yeah. First, I'd like to address Samuel of Sweden. You want to comment that I shouldn't call or whatever. And nothing is more boring than his rant on democracy in Sweden. But he wants to talk about me talking about the same thing.
He didn't talk about democracy. He talked about the history of laws in Sweden.
Whatever he talks about, he should just state his point. Let other folks talk just like him. People get bored with his conversation just like anybody else. So
why are you calling him boring? Did he call you boring?
Yeah.
Oh, he called you boring?
Yeah, last Friday.
Oh, okay.
I think the last time I called.
I was wondering why you were calling him boring, because I thought it was pretty interesting.
Instead of, you don't hear me remark about a call unless they crack on me. So.
Right.
But I'm curious about why do you call or question whether Italians are white?
Whether
are you sure you're white?
Oh, whether Italians are white? It's like I'm half joking, but I am a little bit serious because.
Well, how do you know what's white and not?
Well, I mean, let me explain. Italians in this country, we didn't like them, and I say we. I'm referring.
You didn't like Irish either.
Yeah, we don't like Irish either, because those people.
They're white as white can be.
Yeah, but I know, but they're not Protestants.
Oh, it's a religious thing.
Yeah, it's partly religious.
So,
it's partly also
religion.
It's also partly culture because they came in here and they were criminals and they were slaves and all that, all that stuff.
So y'all just said that just to be demeaning to the Irish.
Not demeaning.
Not based on whether they were white or not.
Hold on. Let me just explain, because in America we're Christian and we're also civilized. And a lot of these people, Italians, they came in as the mob and were bringing on in all kinds of crime. And they also were illegal aliens. You know the term WOP? You know what that spells? it spells something called, I don't want to repeat it because it's basically saying the N-word about Italians. But that means without papers. Without
also,
papers. That means that they're illegals.
It's also a term called, yeah, that's the same term.
I'm chuckling because it's a funny topic to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what...
doesn't that explain to you, Earl?
Earl, huh?
Doesn't that explain to you that we in America, we have an issue with people who are immoral or disobeying the laws or causing problems or not, they're destroying civilization. These people are bringing in immorality, and that's why we have a problem. It has nothing to do with the race or the color. If it's how they act, it's how you people act, and how you people blame whites and cops for doing reasonable, moral, just things, and then you take the side of criminals and immoral people, and it's just lies. We don't like you liars.
Let me educate you a little bit about the Italians, why they call them their wop.
You can't say that word.
Well, before
Are you Italian?
You were born. Before you were born, you know why they called them that?
Right. No.
Because
they were without papers.
Reportedly invaded by Muslims, by the Moors. And
right. Yeah, they weren't pure white.
They were integrated with the Moors, and therefore they got a little black in them. That's
right.
why they call them that.
No,
so,
you're just
it ain't about this religion crap that you bring up.
It's
it was all about
the
whether they were pure or not.
No,
but
you don't know what you're talking about, Earl.
Yeah.
I just explained what the situation was. They were bringing crime.
By the way, you never did. I challenge you to bring up a video of Gary Chambers that talked about integrating. I'm not integrating, but changing the name of Confederate names of the school. And you never did. I wonder were you independent enough to do that, but I guess you're not.
You mean independent of who? If I take your orders, how am I independent?
No, I just asked you a question.
I don't even remember your request, Earl. I don't even remember your request.
Gary Chambers.
Gary Chambers? What?
Talking about, because you brought up another person that complained about changing the name of the school from a Confederate person, but
right.
You never did bring up the video of Gary Chambers doing.
Because I don't know the situation. I've never heard of Gary Chambers. I don't even remember you asking this.
Just look it up and see if you got the courage to bring that video, because it went viral. It was reported on national news first, but you
in June.
You never did bring it. Somehow you never caught that.
That's because I only read Drudge.
Yeah. That's because you always have a grudge against people. But, as far as Kyle...
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This was from June 22nd. All right, thank you for the tip.
Yeah, I've been telling you almost...
No, you haven't been telling me. If you'd been telling me, I think I would have remembered it.
No, I told you. I've reminded you at least 2 or 3 times, but you still...
the only thing that you've talked about 2 or 3 times is that homosexual guy who died. Who's that guy? James Baldwin. You brought him up.
James Baldwin.
Yeah.
The man is dead and buried, and you worry about his sexuality. But I don't want to get into that.
But I'm not worried about it. He was the one flaunting it in our face. Wasn't he flaunting his homosexuality? Was he openly homosexual?
About,
they certainly flaunt the fact that he was homosexual today. I don't know if he was out then. If he wasn't, then I apologize.
It's not a big thing.
Huh?
It's not a big thing to know that whatever persuasion he was.
Persuasion.
Like it was back then.
It's funny how you just call it a persuasion. It's immoral, Earl. It's immoral. And he was promoting immorality, and he hated black people.
So is your president if we want to get into immorality.
No.
I think he's only topped by Caligula.
What?
As far as
you can't
immorality.
Say that. That doesn't sound right.
But
doesn't sound like a word that you should be repeating on
I'm talking about Rittenhouse. as far as, and by the way, the family and Benjamin Crump said he was shot in the back 7 times. In fact, the family went over every bullet that went into his body. They said from the first to the fourth, if that was just to stop him, you know, which they thought it was a lie, was excessive in that part. But when he said 5 through 7 was attempted murder, that's what the family said. That's what the father said.
Be quiet.
They try to stop him.
I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. Hold on.
You said,
hold on, Earl. I got to stop you there. During an arrest, police officer Rustin Shesky, a hero, shot 7 times at his back with 4 shots hitting Blake. Now,
I can read the 10 and 12.
Wikipedia, man. Wikipedia. They're liberals, but they
like
have
yours.
the facts.
Talking about 4, that's just wicked nonsense.
Wicked
the
nonsense.
Evidence is that it was 7.
He shot
better,
7 times, but only 4 hit him, dude.
Who knows better? Does the family know or you?
The family doesn't know anything.
Oh, shut up. That's because you can't defend it. You know. At Rittenhouse, you said it wasn't, he didn't carry his gun.
Wikipedia. Yeah, go for it.
That was on, Wikipedia was on the 23rd of August. They had, all the way up to today, talking about 7 shots in the back.
No, I looked it up, and it was 4. That's where I got the information, was from
That's what Wikipedia
and they
said.
were quoting
But
Benjamin Crump.
Every other outlet, including Benjamin Trump, I've been watching them for days, talking about 7 shots in the back.
I know they have to keep repeating that because it sounds so bad. It sounds worse.
The family said 7 shots in the back,
but they didn't go into the back. Only 4 went into the back.
And then where did the other 3 come? Where they go in the back of the car where the kids were? Where did they find any other shots?
No, he was. Be quiet, Earl. You're being dumb.
Where did the airman bullets go?
I don't know.
Because there wasn't any, idiot.
Whatever. He had 8 holes in his body. That means
he had 7 holes.
8 holes in his body. 8 holes. They said 8 holes, and that means they all made exit wounds.
Might have entered and exited.
Yeah, exactly. Exit wounds from 4 shots, 4 bullets. It's
by the way, did you look at Robert Patillo's video?
I forget who Robert Patillo is.
He was a lawyer that checked Brandon Tatum.
Oh gosh!
On every
Please,
issue.
Brandon Tatum
like
could eat Robert Patillo's lunch.
About the Arbery situation. Yeah,
You're so interested in all these cases because you're a sucker. You're an MSM sucker, Earl. That's why you're so interested in all these cases. You need to get a life.
You can't handle the facts.
Earl, you need to get a life.
You can't handle the facts, idiot.
You don't know anything about facts. You don't know about the truth.
Arguments.
You
don't know the truth. You just make up suppositions.
Well, why don't you look at yourself?
Why don't you look at yourself and stop changing the subject?
Because your subject is boring.
Shut up.
I gotta go, Earl. Nice talking with you.
Yeah, it's been a bit long, so I'll talk about you. And by the way, you said it wasn't Rittenhouse didn't transport that arm.
Right. Yeah, it didn't cross state lines. That gun.
How did is Antioch in Michigan? Is Antioch, Illinois, in Michigan?
Oh, I don't know.
How can he not cross state lines?
Maybe I had that fact wrong.
Both Illinois and Wisconsin have a permit. You have to be 18 years old to get
that's a violation of the Second Amendment, Earl. But regardless, the point is that he legally carried that he legally possessed that weapon. So that's the bottom line. Thank you, Earl. We'll talk again. Take care, man.
Adios, amigo.
You need to pray.
No, You need to admit that you as rotten as they come.
All right.
And don't tell people need to pray.
Okay.
Because you don't know how to pray.
All right. Thank you, man. Take care.
Adios.
Adios. Free Kyle, says Brandon Johnson. Earl is a Sambo, says HydroPX. Whoa. Earl, I will allow you to respond to that tomorrow or whenever you come back on the show. Thank you to the Gringo, gifting a 1-month subscription to Jogger Stormer. Congratulations, Jogger Stormer. And thank you very much, again, to the Gringo. Appreciate you guys' support on D Live while I'm worse than Shallow Band on YouTube. YouTube defunded me. They don't even allow you guys to give super chats. But thank you guys to King Alpha Nerd, Hot Computer Smell, Otaku King, Shorty Shrew, and all the people who support through streamlabs.com/the Hake Report. Let me get to Richard in North Carolina. He's been on hold forever. Richard, thank you for holding, man. Are you there?
Oh, God, Earl makes me tired. I've fallen asleep. He's such a beta. Betas make me tired. Anyhow.
Interesting.
I wanted to, first of all, I thought something was interesting is did you hear how Antifa has been trolling around in their on their website saying how they're going to firebomb the White House?
No, I haven't seen that.
On it.
That's wild.
Yeah, the news has been reporting it for a while, and I'm just thinking, I hope the Army base that responds.
The news has been reporting it. Who has been reporting?
Yeah, the independent news people that look at these websites.
Yeah.
Like,
all right.
like 4chan.
Okay.
And stuff have been these people that look at 4chan stuff like that.
4chan
had credible threats.
I think it's called 4chan.
Yeah, 4chan.
Yeah.
And they've been telling the Secret Service. They've been reporting to the Secret Service, giving them a heads up.
Yeah. You would think that the government, if they're paid so much, they would be monitoring this stuff and wouldn't need 4chan and independent.
4chan knows more than the Feds.
I know. I think so too.
They need to hire those guys for the Secret Service or the CIA or something.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if paying them would increase their
their credibility.
I mean, not about credibility, but they're doing quite a service without the pay. You know, pay can be corrupting sometimes. I don't know.
Well, I just love to see, because there's an Army base that responds in 15 minutes, and when the Army gets in there, they're just going to start shooting, and maybe snipers will start popping people in the head.
Well, I don't think it'll come to that, man. I honestly don't think it'll come to that.
Well, no, if they try to siege the White House and actually break through the gates, the Army's going to come in shooting.
It's insane that the mainstream social media establishment is allowing sleazy Antifa to stay on Twitter, let alone Black Lives Matter. They shouldn't be on Twitter either. They're promoting disinformation. It's disinformation what they're promoting. They're supposed to be fighting disinformation, fake news.
Have you ever heard of the Angry Viking before?
I've heard the term.
He's
I feel
on Facebook.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he's basically been banned on Facebook, and he has to go to YouTube.
Yeah,
and he's just been telling the truth, and he's been facing them down like a real man. You know that?
Yeah, he's not
Antifa to be honest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's wise to do that nowadays, because nowadays they're carrying guns. We saw it with Kyle Rittenhouse. That was the first warning that I know of them carrying guns. But this guy who shot and murdered, apparently, allegedly, right? The Patriot Prayer young man. Yeah, the J.
Yeah.
Aaron J. Danielson.
Yeah.
The guy who was murdered. The guy who allegedly murdered him had been arrested, apparently, according to the reports, for carrying a loaded gun, and other crimes. And I don't think that carrying a loaded gun should be a crime.
And the idiot is running around with his tattoo, the black fist.
Yeah, he has his commie fist tattoo on the side of his neck.
Blatantly.
That's anti-American.
What an idiot.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that guy's 48
he's not
years
going to be able
old.
to get that thing lasered off in time for them not to catch him. You know that?
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, they have they caught him yet?
Oh, they know. You know what's going to happen.
Has he been arrested? Has this guy been arrested?
Not yet.
Are you
But
serious?
I heard the OSP has got him on their hit list when they're coming back later tonight. The OSP is coming back in full force. The Oregon State Police.
So you're telling me
Because
that
they've
guy is
been-
in hiding? Reynol, or however you pronounce the guy's name?
He's on hiding, but I can guarantee the OSP knows where he's at, and they're probably going to arrest him before the end of the week. And they're not going to screw around. They're going to do a no-knock warrant on his butt, and they're going to come in there with a SWAT.
They're trying to ban those too.
SWAT. Yeah, and what I was going to say is that the OSP can now arrest those fake press people that are going around and it's causing as much disturbance as Antifa because
OSP.
the feds have federally deputized them.
Who's
so they're
OSP?
No longer Oregon State Police.
Oh, okay.
They left Portland because they basically people were being let out of jail by the corrupt DA in that area, and they were tired of of putting their life on line for people I just met the next night, and they got hit again by the same person they arrested the night before.
It's crazy, man.
So they pulled out, but now they're back because the feds have deputized them as federal agents.
Yeah.
So
what a mess.
So the restraining order against them is no longer applied.
That's good.
Against Antifa. So
Jeez.
you'll see them tonight. You'll see a lot of arrests tonight in Portland if they start anything. The OSP is going to be back in full riot gear.
What is it?
SWAT
Almost
teams
100 days of riots and so-called protesting,
last night
agitating?
there was almost none because you know there was they warned the OSP warned them that they're not going to screw around tonight. They said. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the info, Richard.
Sure. Just and I'm kind of scared that this is Antifa with the White House thing. I mean, the last thing we need right now is Americans killing each other, the armed forces killing Americans, even if they're treacherous dogs.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't have to come to this. We could have clamped down on it had the American people been bold enough to and moral enough to tell the truth and live moral lives, so that people don't be vulnerable to this dumb brainwashing lies.
Brainwashing.
Yeah. Thank you,
All right,
Richard.
thanks.
Take care, man.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hang tight, callers. I'm going to be in the next hour. We're coming to the end of this hour. I'm going to take a brief break, but I'm going to be talking about how Obama was counseling the NBA players amid the boycott. I mentioned it in Hake News, but I didn't get to lay out what happened. And also, I may touch on this whole Joe Rogan situation, because not that it's really that interesting to us, because, I don't know who here really listens to him much, but he's basically censoring, and I don't know if he's censoring it or if Spotify is censoring it, or if they agreed to have him keep the edgier content on YouTube only. And YouTube is they're such kiss-ups. I interview somebody and my stuff gets shadow banned severely. Like, I don't even know if, did they completely take down my interview with Christopher Cantwell? And it was a very above board interview. Is like, he didn't even cuss. Anyways, I'm going to talk about that in the next hour, and this Obama thing, and more of the scapegoating whites. California's considering reparations. Crazy. And Trump was right in his predictions about them trying to take down George Washington and Thomas Jefferson monuments. All right, guys. I'll be right back. Hang tight, callers. I will get right to you. Rick and all you guys. Be right back, guys. Yeah. What's up, everybody? This is James Hake of the Hake Report, 10:04 a.m. Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. Sunday service premiere tonight, guys. Sunday service premiere tonight. A throwback episode, of course, as always, from December 20th, 2009. I believe the service is going to be called, What Does Jesus Mean to You? It was right before Christmas time, and it's a great service, so make sure you check it out, premiering on the Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. It's already up on rebuildingtheman.com/church. You scroll down and find that in the little blog roll there of recent services, which is recently re-released, right? But I just wanted, before I get to calls and reading the super chats, thank you guys. I wanted to point out some stuff about this Reuters article that was talking about this Los Angeles guy that got himself shot in the back 20 times, according to Benjamin Crump, but it's probably not 20 times. After he punched the officer, according to them, and had a gun, dropped the gun from his bundle of clothes. They always talk about a black man, in capitalized black, killed by a white Minneapolis police officer in May. That's George Floyd, and we don't even know that guy was the one who killed him. Probably more the fentanyl. He was already dying. I think, but I don't know. But whatever. He committed the crime, right? Of knowingly trying to pass that 20, according to the story. Anyways. A white officer's shooting of Jacob Blake over in Kenosha, Wisconsin. President Donald Trump, a Republican, arrived in Kenosha Tuesday as he seeks to rally his base of white supporters in defending the police against criticism of brutality. That's the line from Reuters, talking about Trump's white officers, as if whites are the only fair-minded people who love the police. Please. They're the ones who, as a majority, probably are the most fair-minded voters. That's why they're the only majority, especially amongst the males, who support Republicans. The Republican Party is more sane than the insane, evil, female-minded, anti-white Democrat Party, right? But they don't give you any, if it was in the case of these cases of black-on-white crimes or black-on-cop crimes, they don't mention the black guy's race because they have an agenda to push. A false, lying, debasing, crazy agenda. Evil. Subversive. Very subversive. That's, who wrote this article? Lucy Nicholson and Jonathan Allen wrote this article in Reuters. I always like to look at the people, but I don't really have time. Maybe I'll look it up later. I like to look at who is lying, who is trying to lie to we the people, right? Anyways, Hot Computer Smell gave a super chat, thank you very much, on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report, and asked about Benjamin Crump guy, this liar guy. How does Crump land all these cases so quickly? Sharpton must be ready to retire. Could you believe, speaking of Al Sharpton, that Joe from Arizona, Phoenix, black rhino, mixed, said that Al Sharpton is not an evil man after I criticized Obama for bringing Al Sharpton to the White House like dozens of times. I think he came like 38 times to the White House. I may be overestimating, but I'm not exaggerating, right? Anyways, talk about a blind man, spiritually blind, right? Anyways, we all got to overcome that. Let me quickly get to Rick in Hampton, Virginia. Rick has been on hold for some time. Oh, hang on. Rick, how are you doing, Rick? What's up?
What's going on, James, my brother, man? Love you guys. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just hanging out.
Wow, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, if I was President Trump, man, I would tear these liberals up on how they not funding the police, they letting chaos get away. I think President Trump can win by a landslide.
I hope you're right. That would be nice. I think that a lot of people are waking up to how evil these lying media and the Democrats and hopefully the rhinos too. Hopefully I don't fall for the rhinos. Are, so that we can support what's right, and start living rightly too. We got to live right. I was thinking about how all this immorality is coming about. You know, they're promoting homosexuality and transgender, and now I think that they're even promoting like underage stuff, sexual stuff. It's disgusting. But
and a lot of church people are endorsing it, look like to me.
Yeah, but I think about how immoral the people have become. Like they've promoted this stuff big time on everyone. And there are pastors and Christians and people that are into this immoral stuff just in their personal lives. Even sometimes they don't accept it. They know it's wrong, but they're still into it. They're not overcoming it, and we got to overcome that stuff to be effective, I think.
Call you like you don't love people, you judging them, and try to make it, and then say a twist and say, look, I'm not judging your heart, but I'm judging your act, and it's not a God.
Right.
Now, you and God can go in y'all closet and have y'all discussion on that. He made the rules, not me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad. I mean, they endorse it. Even, I talked to a lot of black pastors. I said, how can you support a candidate that supports abortion? And that's probably one of the number one problems in the black community.
Right.
And they'll sit up there and say, well, that's only one issue. You can't define a candidate by one issue. I said, yes, I can.
Yeah, you can. And nothing he stands for is right. Nothing he stands for is right. Yeah. And you know, that one issue, the thing about evil is it spreads. You do, like, you watch yourself. You allow yourself to get into one evil, it'll spread, it'll grow, it'll get crazy. And so abortion, think about the ramifications of it. There is an abortion breast cancer link where, and I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but black women disrespectfully, that too, disproportionately suffer, I think, from from breast cancer. And they also disproportionately commit abortions. And think about how that kills their conscience and how evil these women are that raise these evil children to grow up and bash white, old, non-threatening men in the head with a brick, knocking them clean out. And they are laughing about it, thinking it's funny. No wonder they treat each other and other people like animals and with no conscience, no empathy, to quote Hillary Clinton. No wonder they're like that, because the mothers are willing to kill their own unborn children at rampant levels. Man. You know, in New York, in New York City, more black babies were aborted in some years than born. That means they killed more than half of their children. It's crazy.
And you ain't count all the abortions they had since they legalized abortion until now.
Right.
Man, that's probably be like in the 30 million.
Yeah, probably so.
You know, and it's sad to say, man, and the Democrats have the Black Baptist churches in their hip pocket. They use those to campaign out of.
You know, it's so that's a great point. These Baptists are so phony for even remotely getting near the Democrat Party. They're so pro-abortion. They're shouting their abortion.
I'm like, y'all preaching behind a pulpit, God loves life, and y'all got a party in here that dislike God. Everything God likes, they hate. Everything God hates, they love. And y'all have them in here campaigning and y'all supporting them, man.
And they're the most, and the babies, the unborn babies, are the most innocent black people you can kill.
Absolutely. And it's sad. It's sad, James. They use the Black Baptist churches to campaign out of. They really do.
Yep.
I see
Yeah.
it over and over, man.
Right.
And I go to a church that's multicultural, and you can feel the love in it. You go to the Black Baptist churches, they are basically training their kids to be Democrats. They really are.
I know. Yeah. It's
and
ridiculous.
It's really sad. I mean, the victimization what these black kids usually get comes from their parents first, then the black churches compound on it, then
Yeah.
the public schools compound on it, then after the public schools compound on it, the NAACP and the Urban League compound on it, then their friends compound on it. And it's a thing that's all black kids do. They think they're victims.
Right.
Because they hear it constantly every day.
Yep.
Just to control them and keep them angry. And
Rick.
they don't realize yes, sir.
I appreciate it, man. I gotta run.
Oh, man, I hate to be long-winded.
No, you're fine.
Love your show, man.
Thank you.
Keep up, man. Love you guys. Y'all keep up the good work.
All right. Take care, man. So, before I get to RB Mindset, not sure what that stands for, out of Orange County, and Joe, speak his name and he shall appear. Joe from Phoenix is on the line, and the rest of you guys, 888-775-3773. ReproBETA Mindset. Oh, okay. Nice. That's what that stands for? Dang, how did he know? Okay, appreciate that. That's what Joel believes. We'll find out for sure. We will confirm. You know, it's such a petty story, right? But Nancy Pelosi used a shuttered San Francisco hair salon for her hair. Reminds me of, Lori Lightfoot also used a hair salon to get her hair cut, and should have, I don't know, never mind. And there've been other cases like that where these, Democrat Bill de Blasio was like, stay home, people. Meanwhile, he's out of town, or he's out on the town walking at some park or some wilderness place, enjoying his life, because these people know that this coronavirus is just a scare, and they want to act like, just like what Owen Schroyer said, like they're our leaders in charge of us and they get to do what they want. They get the special privileges. Phony Nancy Pelosi should be at home instead of getting her hair poofy. How's my stream, guys? Is my stream fine? Press 1 if it's great. Press 2 if it's awful. Press 3 if it's a little spotty. It seems like it's jumping for me, but I'm looking at the Periscope. Let me know. Maybe it's just my internet connection. Sometimes the Wi-Fi is kind of bad. So, everybody's saying it's fine. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right. I will assume you're correct. But yeah, on Monday, this Nancy Pelosi lady, I didn't grab the footage, but I use the term lady very loosely, by the way. She pretends to be a Christian, too. She pretends, I pray for the president. Such a phony person. And she impeached the best president that we've had. But this woman said that she can't even open her salon, beauty salon, whatever it is. Oh, we have it? We have the clip? Clip 2. It's just a B-roll, is that right? It's just no audio to it. Go ahead and show this if you can, Joel. And Erica Kious, Kious, said that this was a slap in the face. You see 3 people in this phony beauty salon with this phony woman. Well, it's not a phony beauty salon. It's a real beauty salon. But I don't know what type of magic they think they can do with Nancy Pelosi. This is the woman, Nancy Pelosi, not wearing her mask. Maybe she has it underneath her chin, right? But the person lied and said, oh, she wears her mask at all times. And always wears her masks and complies with local COVID requirements. And this business offered for the speaker to come in on Monday after she requested special requests to not even the owner, just a renter of the they can rent chairs, right? They rent salon chairs, right? Hair salon chairs. And so the renter texted the owner, said, oh, Pelosi's assistant just texted me. She wants to do her hair. Meanwhile, it's been closed for everybody. And these businesses, I told you about 24-Hour Fitness declaring bankruptcy, maybe. It's crazy. This lady's been fighting for 6 months to reopen her business. And then took her 12 years to build this business. Well, she's a single mother. It's her fault with a couple of young kids, but she's has no income now. That's not her fault. That's evil. Maybe it is her fault because she's probably a Democrat and supported these scummy people who have no loyalty to what's right. There are rules and regulations to go by to safely reopen, she said, which I did, but I was still not allowed to open my business. Reminds me of Attila's Gym, which is over in New Jersey. She installed plexiglass partitions between sinks and seating areas, ensured that all salon chairs were 6 feet apart, along with proper air circulation for open windows. They shouldn't have gone along with this thing. We should have had like a mass public disobedience, civil disobedience of these dumb COVID rules. Follow what is wise with regard to protecting your health, which is like common sense stuff. Wash your hands. Don't get in people's personal space. Esteban. I don't know if Esteban's listening to my show. He's probably working right now. But that guy gets in your personal space. Colombians. But anyways, I keep on saying anyways, by the way. Thank you to that guy for pointing it out, and now it's like bothering me. Anyway. And real quick, before I get back to calls, hang tight, guys. Hang tight. Joe Rogan's podcast has been sanitized, apparently. And I don't know, it's still being released, right? But September was when this podcast host, who's also a UFC, fighting announcer, he kicks really hard, especially his back kick. Check it out. It's pretty cool. And like a Renaissance man, except he smokes pot and anyways. And he's a Democrat, and he thinks that Clinton and Obama were great. Disgusting. Moving out of LA, by the way, run into Texas. Drudge reports alt-right guests vanish as talk host Joe Rogan debuts on Spotify. I don't know one alt-right guy that he's ever had on the show, but they list quote-unquote conspiracy theorists Alex Jones and David Seaman. David Seaman, S-E-A-M-A-N, was a guy who talked about the Hillary situation. He used to be a Huffington Post reporter. Huffington Post. And then he's really a passionate guy. I don't know much about him. We invited him on back during the time when he exposed something. Far-right figures, so-called far-right figures, really centrist pretty much. Owen Benjamin, Stefan Molyneux, Milo Yiannopoulos, who's kind of liberal. Gavin McInnes, again, sort of on the liberal side. Center-left, I would say. Charles C. Johnson, who's an independent journalist, not far-right at all. He's the one who trained Malik Obama how to tweet, I believe. He used to be gotnews.com, used to be his website. I don't know if it still exists. Sargon of Akkad, again, a liberal. But he doesn't fall for the dumb black thing, right? So they call him far-right. And many others. Jordan Peterson's daughter, I didn't know that she was interviewed by Joe Rogan, but she's all mad because he moved to this podcast outlet called Spotify. And it's really a music streaming outlet that you can listen to music. It's been big for several years now, maybe 10 years. I don't know. But it's been around a while as a music service, but now they wanted to get into podcasts. You can podcast the Hake Report, the Jesse Lee Peterson Show, Jesse Lee Peterson Highlights, The Fallen State, and Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, including the episode, the throwback service that's going to come out shortly on Spotify. It is on Spotify, as well as Apple, which used to be called iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and many other podcast platforms, CastBox. I use Podbean now. Whatever. But anyways, Spotify made a deal that Joe Rogan would only be on Spotify, I guess. Does that mean he's not going to be on YouTube anymore? I don't know. And are they going to do video streaming? Because this thing was video? I don't know. But supposedly he told his listeners beginning September 1st, the entire Joe Rogan Experience library will be available on Spotify. So somebody's lying. I don't know. Robert Barnes, who's an attorney, a conservative guy, I think he is representing that Central Park Karen, which I hate to repeat the slur, but that's how I remember it. I think he's representing her, and he's also representing, I don't know, he may have defended Nicholas Sandmann, at least on Twitter. I don't know if in the courts. But asking if Spotify and Joe Rogan were lying, if they can sue these people. Spotify reportedly paid more than $100 million to lure the country's most popular podcaster exclusively to the streaming service. Alex Jones spoke to Joe Rogan on Tuesday. Alex Jones has appeared on this show. Jesse was interviewed by Alex Jones recently. Check it out if you haven't already. It was a fun interview. And supposedly Spotify plans to release more Rogan podcasts for a second rollout. But here's the quote from Alex Jones. Joe Rogan's favorite 100 episodes of the last 10 years or so will be left on YouTube starting December 31st when he goes exclusively to Spotify. That's why Alex Jones and some of the other interviewees are not there, because those are going to be exclusive interviews that are left on YouTube, where, in Joe's words, they'll probably get more views than if they were on Spotify. That's a fair point, I guess, because not as many people are on Spotify to listen to podcasts at this point. But that's not what he said. He said the entire library. Whatever. You never know. Things are always changing, right? Asked point blank by Jones if he's being censored by Spotify, Rogan responded, absolutely not. Of course, he has to say that, right? Just to be classy towards the people that he's making a deal with, right? Whether it's true or not. Jones adds, but, Rogan is, he's a liberal. Pretty far left, honestly. He was a Bernie fan. Jones adds he will again be a guest on the podcast in the very near future, and after Rogan has completed his move to Austin, Texas, from California. Oh my gosh. Listen to this. This is probably the whole reason that I brought this up. In a profile of Rogan in the sleazy outlet Atlantic, which employed Ta-Nehisi Coates, who's a sleazy Black Lives Matter supporting liar, last August, a dumb liberal writer named Devin Gordon, who's a married father of two, white guy. This is a painting of Joe Rogan that appeared in the far left nasty website, the Atlantic. The illustration by somebody you can see in the lower right corner. I can't really read it from here. But they are this dumb liberal writer, Devin Gordon, white guy maybe. I don't know if he's white. Apparently not a Christian. At least not a real one. Definitely a Trump hater who compared Trump to Hitler. By the way, this writer who writes this about Joe Rogan that I'm about to read to you, he compared Trump to Hitler regarding a book about how the supposed dictator invited his own downfall, right? Trying to pretend that Trump is a dictator inviting his own downfall. But Devin Gordon, show a picture of this Devin Gordon guy in this, it's in the Joe Rogan, Spotify, Alex Jones thing. This guy, writer, he detailed Rogan's many strengths as a podcaster, yet also cited some of his guest choices as a serious blind spot. Joe likes Jack Dorsey, who's the top guy at Twitter. He's the founder of Twitter, I guess. I think he co-founded Square or something. He likes Milo Yiannopoulos. He likes Alex Jones. He wants you to know that he doesn't agree with much of what they say, but he also wants you to know that off camera, they're the nicest guys. If we all have fatal flaws, this is Joe's. His insistence on seeing value in people, even when he shouldn't. How could you not see, how should you not see value in Alex Jones? Or even Milo, who's, he's homosexual and like weird like that, but he's for nationalism. He's okay with the nationalism. And Jack Dorsey, why shouldn't you see value like he made Twitter? Twitter's a great platform. It's an evil platform. It's promoting Black Lives Matter and Me Too and disgusting stuff, but It's actually a publisher. I correct myself. A publisher posing as a platform, right? These liberals. But anyways, he goes on about you shouldn't see value in these people, even when they've forfeited any right to having value, even when the harm outweighs the good by interviewing these people. What kind of SJW is this who's writing this? It comes from a generous place, but it amounts to careless cruelty. He just won't write people off, and then he compounds this in by throwing them a lifeline at the moment when they least deserve it, referring to these people like who I just named. Gavin McInnes, Owen Benjamin, Stefan Molyneux, Sargon of Akkad, Charles C. Johnson, Milo, Alex Jones, and others. What an evil person. So I just wanted to share with you how this, I don't know if he's white or Hispanic or Jewish or what, but this guy who's a father of two, married father of two, in major outlets, GQ, this guy writes for Atlantic, this Devin Gordon guy. That was just a side note that I had to share with you because it's disgusting how these so-called journalists think. Yeah, there he is. This ingenious review. This is a book about Hitler that he's promoting. The second volume of Hitler, How a Dictator Invited His Own Downfall. Volker Ulrich closes his absorbing biography of the German leader with a years 1939 to 1945. And this Devin Gordon guy says, this ingenious review is all about Trump and never once mentions him. And it's a New York Times review. It's, these are sick people. That's the media for you. Disgusting. They don't want to they're the ones who want to dehumanize people. Crazy. Anyways, there I go again, saying anyways. Yeah, Joe Maddock gave a diamond and said, Nancy Pelosi, rules for thee, not for me. Yep. That's Pelosi for you. Joe Maddock says, Mays Earl and Phoenix Joe put blackness over God. I have Joe on the lines, and I will get to him shortly, and he can respond to that. Imagine having beta like Joe in office after Trump, referring to Joe Biden. Not to be confused with Joe from Phoenix. Yeah, imagine that. No thanks. I don't even want to imagine that, but thank you to Realms for the diamond. And L. Ron Humperdinck is the one who said, Nancy's lifted fake face is her mask. Hake, yikes. Yeah, that face is not natural. Her eyebrows are like halfway up her forehead. They have done something that's called a facelift, I guess. Good point, L. Ron Humperdinck. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Let me get to, what is it? What type of mindset is that? Reprobate? Let me see. RB mindset. What does that stand for from Orange County, California?
ReproBETA.
Oh, ReproBETA mindset. Oh, okay.
Hey,
I had completely, all right. Yeah, nice to hear from you.
yeah, Joe got it right. Let me see. Oh, on the Robert Barnes thing, just to clear it up.
Yeah.
He didn't have Sandman as a client, but he did have like a number of anonymous Covington kids.
Oh,
but
okay.
You know how attorneys are. They like to kind of fluff things up a little bit.
Right, exactly.
I mean, like Joe, who's going to be coming up soon, but that's that Joe, the Snake Joe, right?
Right, Joe from Phoenix. Are you referring to that to him because he's an attorney to himself?
Yeah, attorneys. I work with a lot of attorneys, and you know how they are. So.
Yeah, I do. They promote themselves, make themselves seem more important than they are. You know, speaking of that, let me just tell a brief story since you brought this up.
Yeah.
Benjamin Crump was complaining because, and CNN put out this article, Trump didn't meet with the Jacob Blake so-called family, right?
Oh, yeah, because they
wanted lawyers there, and he thought that was inappropriate.
So it totally doesn't even. Why would you? What does an attorney have anything to do with? Honestly, I mean, I can't. Don't get me started on attorneys, but
yeah,
yeah.
You just
really.
Just a friendly conversation with the president, expressing sympathies for your son got shot by the cops while he was resisting arrest, and he was armed with a knife, and he may be paralyzed permanently, or maybe it's temporary from the waist down. I'm sorry. Let's not riot. Thank you for calling for peace, and thank you for saying we should respect the president or something like that, right? It's just a friendly call. They don't need the lawyers involved. But Benjamin Crump is like, Obama met with me and whatever fake victims he...
Wow.
So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and that's another classic attorney move, is using precedent from the past, to try to justify what's going to happen, And that whole, the family had probably multiple voices in there saying, Trump could make this a national thing, and
right.
he could demonize you, and you don't know what he's going to do. You need our representation. And then oh my God, give me a break.
But shame on them for taking the Ben Crump
people are so lost.
Scammers. Yeah, they are. That's true.
It's sad.
You got to cut them a little slack, but they're wrong and misguided for that.
Yeah, and then especially in the, we're almost a couple months out from the big happening here, and it's crazy. But I also on the Rogan thing, thank you for covering that, because I heard it straight from Alex's mouth. He did that little report yesterday. But I've listened to him since I was like 17, and I didn't understand what he was trying to say about Joe Rogan not having the episodes on. He talks so much. But I still listen to him, though. But
you listened to Alex Jones, but you couldn't understand what he was trying to say about Joe Rogan?
Yeah, it was kind of, he's just kind of,
Okay.
He gets into these
You didn't get to the point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But thank you for that. And that Molyneux episode from Joe Rogan is just, it's amazing. I mean, Molyneux gets a little bit triggered in it.
Okay.
It's really funny because Joe tries to say Molyneux's leading a cult.
Oh, yeah. That's what people claim. Yeah, that's on Wikipedia, that they accuse him of leading a cult and separating from your family. That's what cult people do. Separate
on
you from
Rational Wiki, too, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you for the tip.
Yeah, it's really entertaining. I mean, poor Steph, takes the bait, but for Rogan, I'm really for this whole campaign for Sam Hyde to get on there and take him to task there. But
wow, that'd be awesome.
Sam is doing a big campaign online, and all these. He does these little deep fakes of, people. Or I think he does cameos of some football players asking to get Sam Hyde on the Joe Rogan Experience.
That is funny. Nice.
Yeah, but I was calling on this whole. I heard you touch on it on the news segment, really briefly, about Drudge.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of strange. I don't know. I've never really been a big Drudge guy, but I've always glanced at it. I know you take a lot of stories from there.
Right. But you know what? What's funny is people say that Drudge has changed. I can't say that I've really noticed for sure, right? I haven't really noticed. He might have. I did notice that he capitalized the word black in that, because he doesn't really capitalize headlines. But he capitalized the word, the letter B in the word black. So maybe he has changed. People are maybe more observant than me. Anyways, go on.
Well, I wanted to ask you because I know you're into that side a lot. But then I always thought Drudge kind of stood out from the other aggregates out there, but I'm not too sure. I mean, I heard Alex complaining about it yesterday about.
Right.
Drudge was capitalizing on that. I don't want to talk about the so-called mini stroke story.
Right.
I don't know what to make of that.
Trump responded to it on Twitter a couple of times.
I saw it, but then there's pictures. I don't know. I mean, you could doctor a picture. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why is his feet looking like that?
I know. I saw that, and there's a picture of him where his feet are kind of pigeon-toed. And I don't know, you can capture people in awkward moments
Yeah.
You know.
Like when you're blinking, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So I didn't know. I guess that's what I was asking, if you've seen a change, because Alex reported that he has, and I don't know. I don't know if
President Trump tweeted that Drudge didn't support me in 2016 and he's not supporting me now, and he's like something.
Oh.
And then Cernovich responded to him saying Drudge sold out to China.
Oh.
And people in the chat will tell me like, oh, 7-8 years ago he sold his company and he doesn't even control the site anymore. And recently, like some of the other producers and people who work here have said that it's different. The headlines are different. The quality of the pictures are different. The layout is sometimes different. Like they never stack so many headlines together. And so I don't know. Maybe something has changed. Maybe he still does, or maybe he doesn't. I really don't know. The way I take it, since I don't know, is that I'm taking it as this is what the media are saying, and this is what we should be ready to respond to, you know?
Oh, I see.
That's how I take it.
Yeah.
But maybe that's too gracious of an opinion on Drudge. I don't know. But I saw his he used to have a Fox News show. Did you know that? He used to host a Fox News show.
I thought I saw clips of that. That makes sense.
Yeah. Back when Fox News was the Wild West and pretty, I dare say, based. I don't know. But they had Jesse Lee Peterson on. They had Matt Drudge was hosting a show. And anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your
Anyway.
I didn't know if it was like a Machiavellian thing he's doing, or if he's like licking Chinese boots, or maybe it's just like this.
Or licking the liberals' boots. I don't know. Because when I saw that B, capitalized B, the letter B in the word black, that sounds, how it does Daily Wire kiss? I can't imagine Daily Wire would kiss up to the when a transgender calls himself a her or she. I can't imagine, Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire, right? Ben Shapiro doesn't kiss up to that thing, but they have these so-called standards for journalists, right? And so somehow or another, I didn't hear about it. I didn't hear any announcement about it, but I did catch people commenting on it, and I have noticed it myself, how they suddenly started capitalizing the letter B in the word black for the race. Maybe that's like a journalistic standard now, like the AP style manual, and Drudge is following that. I don't know. It's weird though.
Could be, and I didn't know that it was Cernovich that made that. That's a big shot coming from Cernovich on Twitter, Mr.
I know.
He's another lawyer, so.
Right. I don't know if he's speaking from knowledge or what. Sometimes I take what he says with a grain of salt. So I don't know.
And then, this whole, I don't know, but this mini stroke thing.
Yeah.
Is there any? I mean, because could this be maybe why he had? I don't really see that he had a big problem, but the whole drinking water issue and the whole going up and down the ramp. Which, I mean, I know at that age, me going up and down some big ramp on a ship.
Yeah.
Not really easy to do, but I don't know. It's just kind of strange.
Who knows?
I'll
Who
just
knows?
Wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah, wait and see. That's the best solution because, I think CNN was putting out this story. And is it still on Drudge? Trump stroke.
Yeah.
It's not even on Drudge anymore. But CNN put it out. Trump tweeted that Drudge isn't the same anymore. And basically what they're claiming, just so that people aren't lost, they're saying Trump has had these mini strokes, and they show a picture of him all pigeon-toed. That's where his toes are kind of pointed in towards each other. And they have him in awkward photographs and saying that's what he did when he went to that doctor's office, Walter Reed, suddenly unannounced, and it wasn't scheduled or whatever. And, there was times when he's drinking water. I don't know how to say the word. where he's drunk water strangely, and
Yeah.
when he's talking, he's gotten a little garbled, but that's a long time of talking, and maybe he has what Joe Biden has. Joe Biden has dentures that almost fell out of his mouth, so maybe he has, some false teeth there. I don't know.
The silver lining, though, at least we're talking about Trump again and not about whatever, I don't know, like COVID-19. And
I know.
Maybe we're getting back into a real news cycle here, and instead of, I don't know, it's all propaganda.
Yeah.
But thank you for having me on the show, man. And
Thank you, ReproBETA. Good to hear from you.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you, man. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Maybe we'll see you at the men's forum tomorrow.
I'll be there.
All right.
I'll
man.
definitely be there.
Appreciate it. All right.
All right. Thanks, man.
Take care.
All right, bye.
ReproBETA Mindset. Has he been banned by... Is he one of the guys that gets banned a lot from these platforms? I don't know. I know Salazam, he emailed me a month or so ago. Anyways, there I go again. Anyways. So, I don't really give credence to it. Trump is pretty solid and lucid, especially compared to Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or any of these people. He's solid. So right on to President Trump. I wanted to present this information about scapegoating whites. And Joe was on the line, but he hung up. I don't know. Maybe he had to go, or maybe he got scared. I'm just playing around. So I will get to his call when he calls in, whether it's today or whenever. But he probably wants to defend himself. We keep on going in on Joe from Phoenix. But I have this tweet from a guy named Steve Guest talking about the John Oliver. John Oliver is a foreigner. He's like British or something. Far left liberal. He hosts this show called like Last Week Tonight or This Week Tonight or something like that. He did this segment back in, I guess it was 2017. He's a disgusting person. But anyways, John Oliver covered this case after President Trump was defending his statements and defending the right of the people to protest over the taking down of Confederate monuments and other monuments and statues over in Lee Park. Lee Park, the alt-right. I call them the alt-right. At that time, I think many of them considered themselves alt-right. Basically, bunch of white guys, some of them civic nationalists. They're like, don't care about the race. All races can come together. Let's just be Americans. By the way, Nick, the call screener, says that there's a loser calling in over and over, all cussing and vulgar and just being nasty. And so maybe he's keeping a Joe from Phoenix off the line. I don't know. Some loser, man. Anyways. Show this tweet. This was after the Charlottesville riots, in which Black Lives Matter and Antifa, unprovoked, attacked the white guys who were defending our history, right? And so John Oliver did this segment. I'm not going to play this segment for you because, I don't own it. Probably get a copyright issue, maybe. I don't know. But he covered this case where Trump was defending the people's right to protest the takedown of the Robert E. Lee statue. Robert E. Lee was a great man, a hero, a Confederate hero, and an American hero. Before even being in the Confederates, he was an American hero. And even after the Civil War, he wanted to help reunite the country. And he had slaves, and he kept them enslaved to help salvage his father-in-law's estate, which was in shambles. I read to you about it in the beginning of White History Month. But John Oliver is mocking Trump in this probably August 2017 or summer 2017 clip on his dumb TV show, late-night TV show, where a bunch of dumb, blind, brainwashed liberals fall for their propaganda, right? Their mocking of the truth. They fall for it. And he says, you know, Trump is saying, where does it stop with this taking down of the monuments? With we shouldn't even be taking down, I say we shouldn't even be taking down the Confederate monuments. Those are heroes. Those are Americans. Abraham Lincoln fought to reunite the country. He didn't want them seceding from the Union. He said, a nation divided against itself cannot stand, which is a quote from Jesus talking about how can Satan drive out Satan. Interesting. But anyways, there I go again with that word. President Trump was like, why are we taking down these Confederate monuments? This is history. These people they're very fine people defending our history. And where does it stop? Are they going to be taking down George Washington next? Thomas Jefferson? Abraham Lincoln? And yes, indeed, they want to take down each of those statues. To Steve Guest, who's a blue checkmark guy, I don't know much about him, but on Twitter he reported today the Washington, D.C. government, which is a disgusting government. The mayor of D.C. is a black female who enabled the riots and hates Trump. And they put Black Lives Matter on the street. That hate phrase. The Washington, D.C. government announced that they were looking into removing the Washington Monument and the Jefferson Memorial. Washington, D.C. They don't have any say over that. Those are American monuments. The Washington, D.C. so-called government shouldn't be doing that. It's disgusting. But that's John Oliver, and he was mocking Trump for saying that. Oh, it ends somewhere. And they lie. The liberals, they lie. They lie to you in the college courses. I took this critical thinking class, right, in Pasadena City College, because my parents forced me to go to college, right? Thanks a lot, parents. But I took this course, it's called Critical Thinking. And they cite Rush Limbaugh as giving a whole bunch of, the great radio host, Rush Limbaugh, almost as good as Jesse Lee Peterson, as giving a lot of fallacies, logical fallacies, which they weren't fallacies. It's just a textbook written by liberals who are trying to brainwash dumb college students into thinking that they're smarter than Rush Limbaugh. And they said that the slippery slope fallacy, if we legalize same-sex marriage, that next they're going to want to marry whatevers. They're going to want multiple marriages, blah, 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 which are accurate. The slippery slope argument is accurate because you allow evil, evil grows. Evil grows. So people claim the slippery slope argument is a logical fallacy. It doesn't mean that it's untrue. And John Oliver accused Trump of a slippery slope fallacy of saying, if we take down the Confederate monuments, are we going to take down George Washington? So John Oliver mocked that and compared banning heroin to banning Twizzlers or something like, I don't know, something stupid, right? Just making a mockery of the truth. Trump was telling the truth. And these phony people don't. There's a mentally ill person who's calling into the show. And it's not Joe. It's somebody even more off the deep end. Thank you to Nicolas. Let me read this. Oh, I have these photographs from this reparations situation. California moves to consider reparations for slavery. What does California have to do with slavery? I just wonder. And this is a Associated Press article from a writer named Don Thompson. And it's shared by the SF Gate, San Francisco Gate. And they have these these pictures of these people that are just so goofy. Let me pull this up so that I can read it too. So Joel Friday here is showing you guys what we are showing you. This picture of this black woman over at the Washington Monument. Speaking of the Washington Monument, standing in front of a bunch of blacks, and she's speaking with her raised anti-American, anti-black, honestly, anti-white black power fist, which is a fake power fist. Friday, August 28th, 2020, Yolanda Renee King, granddaughter of MLK, raises her fist as she speaks during the march in Washington. Oh yeah, the 57th anniversary of I Have a Dream speech. Power to the people. Dumb woman. That King family is a mess, by the way. California lawmakers are setting up a task force to study and make recommendations for reparations to African Americans, which they're not African Americans, particularly the descendants of slaves, as the nation struggles again with civil rights and unrest following the latest shooting of a capitalized B word, capitalized black man by police. The state Senate supported creating the 9-member commission on a bipartisan 33-3. Yeah, bipartisan. How do we have any Republicans in office? 33-3 vote. Some rhino. It shows you the state of the Republican Party in California. And they have a picture of this black woman with an afro with, geez, she just needs to stay home and walk with me. Exercise. Shirley Weber, black female, in San Diego. We're opening the treasure chest, guys. Wears a face mask as she calls on lawmakers to create a task force, and they're listening to her. And there's this woman, June 25th, 2020, State Senator Holly Mitchell, disgusting person, also needs to walk with me. From Los Angeles, chair of the Senate Budget and Fiscal Review Committee. That's scary. No wonder California's a mess. And she's part of that mess. And lastly, Joelle was showing you guys a bunch of these people in the pond thing, this pool. People join hands as they pose for a photo in the reflecting pool in the shadow of the Washington Monument as they attend that March on Washington, which didn't really make big news, honestly, because it was a bunch of nothing. They don't have anything to protest for. Even back then, they didn't, honestly. What a disservice to themselves they're doing. So I had to share that with you. Reparations for slavery. Associated Press, they're setting up a task force following the latest shooting of a black man by police, which was justified, right? Was justified. I don't even know which case they're talking about, but every case that I've seen has been justified. It's been the blacks putting it on themselves. They're such sleazy people.
What's wrong with black people?
Yeah.
The blacks.
I want to know what Republican voted for this. I don't even know that I didn't even really know. I forgot that there were Republicans who still get elected in the state of California. Let's speak. This is Holly Mitchell, the woman in the the purple shirt, the black female. Let's be clear. Chattel slavery, both in California. I didn't know we had slaves in California. That's interesting. And across our nation, birthed a legacy of racial harm and inequity that continues to impact the conditions of black life in California, which is a lie. She's a liar. That's an evil person talking. No, slavery doesn't even compare to the evil that they're committing today. With abortion, with lying about and smearing police and whites and encouraging blacks to be deluded in this false victimhood mentality. She cited disproportionate homelessness, unemployment, involvement in the criminal justice system, which means they're disproportionately criminals. Lower academic performance, which has to do more with their lack of family, which is their own fault for taking the bribe from the government to get out of the homes. Fathers get out of the homes. They took the bribe. Don't take the bribe, guys and gals. Higher health risks during the coronavirus pandemic. They have poor health habits. California, before the Civil War, was officially a free state. Aha! Mitchell listed legal and judicial steps state officials took at the time to support slavery in the southern states while repressing the blacks. Well, I mean, slavery was the fact of life during the time, and of course they defended it. It's just like abortion today is a fact of life, and abortion is way worse, by far, than slavery. Way worse. It's disgusting. It deludes and destroys the consciences of these people, and no wonder the blacks are so vicious. You guys, anyways, you guys have seen the violent black on white crimes. I don't really play them much, but look up Colin Flaherty. Colin Flaherty, and he says that Jesse Lee Peterson is the most important man in America. And he's right about that, because he's addressing the anger of black people and the cowardice, which is also rooted in anger, of white people. And it is interesting. You guys listen to this stuff and you agree, or sometimes you guys speak yourselves, but in the small things in life, the little weaknesses and slip-ups that we have, and some of you guys might not even be conscious of your own stuff, but when you get called out for it, it's like, whoa, dang, I wasn't aware of that. It's interesting. You got to really be aggressive. Like the Bible says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling, something like that. But that means be serious about it. And then it says, because it's God that works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose. Isn't that a nice verse? I think so. Trump Gossip Hour, says Joe Maddock. Yeah, I totally agree. I don't like giving it any credence. All that gossipy stuff, referring to the so-called mini strokes and all that mess. Rogan, another lib celeb, moving to Texas. Stay in California, says GACJR53. And Robot Moose, thank you for the diamonds. Oh, I forgot to open the treasure chest. We're opening it now. But anyways, we're opening it during the song, okay? Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you. Take care.